Mariupol has no shortage of stories to tell. Most of them are horror stories, full of villains and violence. But every so often, you stumble upon heroes, like this 19-year-old young man who has absolutely no background in medicine.
This is a perforated shrapnel wound, which I am dressing with bandages to prevent it from getting infected. There are many people with wounds like this. There are more with open wounds than not.
He is among a small group of volunteers doing things that they have no business or knowledge doing. But who else? Him and his friends learned battlefield medicine the hard way. They are credited with saving more than 100 lives. 2 months ago, Nikita was a simple nurse assigned to an ice hockey team. Now he is a local legend.
When it all began, I thought it would help the children. I didn't think it would all get so bad, but then I saw so much sadness. Eventually, I was sewing people up, stopping blood loss, and reanimating people. It all started when I helped 2 people, and the message spread from bomb shelter to bomb shelter. One of the first patients was a man who was shot in the hand by a sniper. He said he raised his hand, showing he had a milk bottle, and the sniper shot him through it.
What sniper was it?
He says it was a Ukrainian sniper.
In better times, this was a bar and billiards club. When fighting reached this area of the city, there were more than 100 people in this basement alone. They were everywhere, on the billiards tables, underneath, lining the corridors. But also here was a real surgery with what materials they had. Just in this room alone, on this table, more than 80 people were operated on, mostly with shrapnel wounds, bullet wounds, but invariably a whole lot of their lives was saved on this operating table by an unqualified nurse. They had nothing at first, only ordinary sewing needles, which they ended up bending into a mockery of surgical ones. There was no antiseptic, no scalpels, no dressing, only a dank basement, phone flashlights, and a hectic stream of critically injured and dying civilians. Over a period of about a month, Nikita carried out 300 surgeries in that basement.
In this journal, we recorded operations when we could, when we had the time. Look, here's 10, 20, 30, so many people.
What sort of injuries were there?
Mostly lacerations with stitches. But we also reset bones and open wounds, so patients' arms wouldn't dangle like snakes.
What was the longest and most complicated surgery?
There was Vera, a woman who was shot in the collarbone, and the bullet went into her chest, ripping it open. It took over 4 hours to stitch up her wound, all under torchlight.
Many of Mariupol's prominent surgeons and doctors, respected and lauded, disappeared. They ran from the city or hid underground, rejecting patients, their oaths forgotten. Nikita and his friends helped all that could be helped.
A bomb struck a house and destroyed 2 upper stores, killing 1 woman and burning another, a pregnant one, under the rubble. A group of about 20 of us went to help, to get her out.
Was this during shelling?
Yes, as we cleared debris, another shell struck nearby. Her husband was in shock, he was lost. We eventually hammered through to her. She was lucky, only her leg was crushed. We got her out, and she gave birth a week later. Her leg, however, was amputated.
I tried to save those who could be saved. The fatally injured weren't brought to me. Honestly, I'm mentally burned out. There were days when I had as many as 18 patients. Towards the end, my fingers would not function, and I was psychologically exhausted. If it wasn't for the volunteers who helped me, who aren't doctors but helped anyway, I wouldn't have been able to last.
Now that fighting has passed, Nikita's burden has lessened. Most of those coming in now are people in to redress their wounds or for a checkup, and occasionally recovered patients. Men, women, children and the elderly come to thank him again for giving them another chance. Murad Gazdiev, RT, from Mariupol.